buzzword in FM for a while was agile. Everyone had to be agile. It didn't just mean, going to a different workstation each day. My day could start, early hours in the morning because of a particular incident that we've got, is ongoing. But definitely need to be sort of, adaptive. What I think I'm going to do throughout the day sometimes doesn't get achieved.
It's a loose plan, but you know that something might pop up that needs to kind of be bumped up. Yeah.
Well, welcome back to Let's Talk Facilities podcast. It's good to be in the studio.
It is. It really is.
We have a really exciting guest this week, Mark O'Connell from St Vincent de Paul. Thank you so much for coming into the studio.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I've actually seen a couple of your previous podcasts. You've had some great guests on, so I'm quite honoured.
Well, one of many of the great guests is here at the table today.
We'll see how we go.
So you've had quite a lengthy career in facilities management space.
Yeah, show my age.
We could have just said a great.
No, but longevity is, I think, important.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a good sign of health when there's someone who's had longevity in their career. But you fell into facilities like everyone.
Like everyone.
Like everyone always tells us. Tell us how you fell into it.
Well, I actually wanted to be a lawyer. And so I started studying law and thought I'd work at a law firm part-time to get some exposure. And I learned quickly that that wasn't for me. And so...
what about it wasn't for you?
I just didn't have, I guess, the passion to represent something that went against my values, I guess. It's one thing that has driven me throughout my entire career is being values driven. Just knew that it wasn't the right career for me. So my CEO at the time said, "Don't quit. We'll create a position." I sort of fell into that, and haven't looked back. Actually, it's been a fantastic career. It really has.
Well, it develops so many different skills, doesn't it? The facilities management career.
Yeah, it does.
Because it is so broad.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I know it's been touched on previous around sort of the skill sets, etc. But you take the assets and everything out, and it's so people driven. It's crazy, and that stakeholders and the relationships that you have with people is really key to what I do, not only in the day-to-day sort of role, but also the outcomes and the impact that it has, particularly with St Vincent de Paul and the mission and everything that we do.
Yeah, and that would be even more people-driven, I guess, than your everyday facilities role, because it's not just, it's for people, I guess, your outcomes that you're delivering.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I say to my team all the time, what we do is it's a moment in time. But the impact that has on the people that we serve and work with, our companions, we call them, the impact that has on their lives is just enormous. It's enormous. Yeah. And so our small contribution to the organisation really does impact someone's life. And I think the best part about my role and working with St Vincent de Paul is, for the first time in my FM career, I can actually see the tangible impact of what I do. It's so close. Other roles that I've had, I've done some amazing work for some amazing organisations, but you don't actually see the impact of what you do, and so that's the most rewarding, fulfilling part of my role.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah,
it really, really would be. The idea of doing something in that not-for-profit NGO space, very different to your corporate up on a 64th level of a building, expects their coffee a certain way, expects I imagine there's a big stark difference there.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest challenges or the impacts that I first found when I started at St Vincent de Paul, coming from that corporate background, I remember my first week walking past people in the hall in the office, and people say, "Hi, how are you?" And it's like, great, and you just keep walking.
Yep.
Yeah.
And people are stopping there wanting to know, how are you? Like, who are you? How are you? You know,
They didn't
what do
keep
you
walking
do?
like
They
the
didn't
last
keep
job.
walking at all.
Yeah.
And that was something that was quite different to what I was used to. I've been involved in sort of not for profit and volunteering quite some time. In fact, my very first volunteering role was through high school, actually serving meals at Osnum House at St Vincent de Paul through high school.
Oh, so full circle.
Full circle, yeah. It's we had very different to the facility that we have now, because it's obviously been redeveloped. It was a men's homeless shelter, and we were serving meals at high school. And I just loved it so much that I continued going back and volunteering. And so to see that full circle and now I'm actually managing that facility is quite profound. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Very much like, as you said, full circle. I guess something that you said before that kind of piques my ears a little bit was very much that you're value driven. Is that something that kind of, I guess, guided your career going into St Vincent de Paul, or?
It has. It was one of the big decisions that I made when I was looking to get out of the previous role that I was in.
Yeah.
It's every organisation has their values, but whether they upkeep them or whether they model those values is yet to be seen. It's like when you go for a job interview and you ask what's the culture like. Anyone can tell you what the culture is like, but until you actually experience it yourself, because my experience of culture might be very different to someone else's.
Yeah.
And so, I've always been a values-driven person, and so St Vincent de Paul is a values-based organisation, and they really aligned with what I do. And I'm extremely fortunate enough. I actually feel like my facilities management career was reborn with this job, and it gave me a new passion for FM that was probably a little bit dormant there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm imagining that in some of the more corporate settings you had, people often take that facilities management role and that persona for granted, and it's often a thankless job. I can imagine it's quite different in what you're doing now. There's some stark differences.
Yeah. Look, I always say to my staff, no one calls you to say you've done a fantastic job. They're calling you because they've got an issue.
Yeah.
And we're often the first responders in that, which is fantastic, because that's what makes a challenging day, and no day is ever the same in facilities management. Yeah. But as I mentioned before, that impact that it has on someone's life is so tangible that people are so grateful for the little things that we do that make such a huge difference in their life, and sometimes it's life-changing for some people. Our companions are sometimes the most marginalised people in society, and for them to actually come out of a situation, a moment in time in their life, and to be given an opportunity to either, come off the streets, to have a home, to, go through programs that we run through, drug and alcohol, rehabilitation, etc. It's really life-changing.
Well, to be able to walk into Vinny's store and be able to afford some clothing to put on their back, like there are some life-changing things. And I remember you telling me when we were chatting a little while ago about a refurb that you once did in another job, and how ungrateful someone was, and you almost
The mugs were too heavy.
yeah, that's yeah, you were sitting there on grand opening day. Tell Sammy hasn't heard the story.
Yeah, so I was working at another organisation, and we'd just done a major fit out, quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I actually had my own not for profit at that time. I was doing some work in Cambodia. It was we built a child development centre over in Cambodia.
Amazing.
And I'd just come back from a trip over in Cambodia, and
With the poorest of the
with
poor.
the poorest of the poor, and going out to villages, and people have never seen a white person before.
Yeah.
We were teaching basic hygiene, how to wash their hands and clean their teeth, etc.
Yeah.
And I came back, and we had the opening of...
And they drink drinks by doing this often.
Correct.
They don't even have a mug.
That's right. Nothing to blame except themselves if their hands are too heavy. So, I'd come back, and we were having the opening, and, we were asking everyone, how's the new, lounges, etc. And someone said, oh, the mugs are too heavy. And I remember I went to walk up to them just to, have a quiet conversation.
Yeah.
And my boss just pulled me back by the shirt and whispered in my ear, it's like, Mark, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
I would have thrown the mug at you.
I would just grab all the mugs, put them into a bucket, and be like, fine, they're coming home today. You don't deserve
Yeah, I'm
them.
sure they're really expensive
I'm
mugs
taking
too.
these straight back to Cambodia.
Yeah. So it's interesting how sometimes we lose sight of things like that.
Yeah. Well, no wonder your facility management sort of passion got reawakened doing work that it feels like it's much more making a difference than what colour mugs are on the shelf, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So St Vincent de Paul, Vinnie's is just an aspect of that major organisation. It's so broad. You're not just looking after an op shop or an office tower.
Yeah.
You've got so much under your scope of leadership and influence. Tell us a little bit about that breadth.
Yeah, sure. So I've got probably every type of facility in my portfolio. I've got the commercial portfolio, which is our offices and our assistance centres, etc. Industrial and our warehouses that support our retail.
Oh, wow.
I've got the retail portfolio and also the residential portfolio with our independent living units and a long-term housing. So we're building a 92 apartment complex in Footscray at the moment, which will be finished soon.
Amazing.
And we're looking forward to sort of opening that, and we are developing probably and completing 180 social housing by the end of 2025 as part of our Vincent Care community housing sector. So we've got three entities in the business of St Vincent de Paul that primarily looks after our welfare and our commercial aspects of the business. We've got Vincent Care Victoria, which is looks after our programs and our housing, and then Vincent Care Community Housing. So I head up the property division across those three entities, and we've got a housing team that does work with our tenants, et cetera, and cares for our tenants and make sure that they're comfortable in our properties, whether they're our properties or whether they're government properties as well.
Gee, that is such a wide breadth that you have to kind of look after. I assume that's a lot of different hats as well. How do you find juggling between someone's looking after retail to then someone that has to then look after those industrial sites to the residential? How do you manage that all?
I think you definitely need to be adaptive.
Yeah.
I think that's part of my leadership style in terms of leading with purpose and accountability. And also being adaptive as well. The buzzword in FM for a while was agile. Everyone had to be agile. It didn't just mean going to a different workstation each day.
Yeah.
My day could start early hours in the morning because of a particular incident that we've got, is ongoing. But definitely need to be sort of adaptive. What I think I'm going to do
Today.
throughout the day sometimes doesn't get achieved.
It's a loose plan, but you know that something might pop up that needs to
Absolutely.
kind of be bumped up. Yeah.
So I imagine, as someone hearing this,
Yeah.
you must have a huge team.
No.
Like, you've got so many facets.
Yeah.
There must be a huge team doing this.
I don't have a huge team, but I've got an amazing team. We do have a small team. We're a not-for-profit. You know, you'll never have enough resources in a not-for-profit organisation to fulfil what we do.
Yes.
But we're a lean team, but we're a high-performing team. And that's another aspect that needs to be fulfilled, I guess, in the role that we do, is to have high performers in the team. We're all agile, we're all adaptive, and we all get in and help each other out. I don't think I've actually had a full team in the 4 years that I've been at St Vincent de Paul. There's always been something, some gap somewhere. Yeah.
Someone's on leave, maternity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
But we all just get in and help each other out. So, and I couldn't be prouder of my team. They do such an amazing job for the amount of work that we do. Yeah.
Speaking about team, what is it that you're looking for whenever you're hiring and putting someone into the team? What are you looking for, and then how are you building them throughout their career?
I think part of my role as a manager and a leader is to ensure that everyone can actually just be the best that they can be. Yeah. No one grows up thinking that they want to be a facilities manager. And so I say to people, it's okay, you don't need to be a facilities manager or head of property, etc. But I just want the commitment from you whilst you're working. And if I can teach them transferable skills for them to go and do another vocation, then I'm more than happy to do that. Yeah. So I'm actually looking for someone that has great street smarts, that is agile, that fits culturally, because I think working in a small team, you need to actually be a coherent team. Yeah. And when there's a part of the team that doesn't work, it's exponential. So definitely a cultural fit, not only with our team but the organisation as well. It's interesting. I don't know whether it's the other way around, but it's interesting to see someone come into a values-based organisation that doesn't display the values. It really stands out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if it's going to be the other way around, where you really see someone who's a values-based person in another organisation that's not values-driven.
Yeah. Well, I guess they would stand out for the right reasons in that scenario. Yeah. But, but they stand out for all the wrong reasons if they're not values-based.
Yeah.
Have different values to the organisation.
Yeah.
Wow. So back on the different aspects of all the different types of facilities you have, are you going out, like, is your day-to-day pretty much out on the road? Are you based in an office? Like, what does that look like for you going out to these sites?
Yeah, it's quite a mixture of everything. And I could be going into the office and I'm halfway there, and then I get a call and I need to go somewhere else because of a particular situation. It's not office based. It certainly is. I don't think facility managers, unless they're looking after a specific asset,
unless they're looking after an office.
Yeah, correct. That has certainly changed a lot. Mm-hmm. I look after Victoria, so we've got our regional sites as well, and I also find it easier to manage when I'm there, front facing. And that's one of the best parts about my role. We have probably up to about 650 staff, but 10,000 volunteers.
10,000?
We're a volunteer-led organisation. Yeah. So I get to meet so many people across the organisation with such a breadth of experience prior to them volunteering. Yeah. We obviously have an ageing base. The average age of our volunteers is 75.
Oh,
wow. And so to actually go out and talk to people and I learned so much about life going out, talking to volunteers, talking to our staff, whether that's in the retail space, our assistance centres, our soup vans out in the field. That's the best part. I love about Mod.
Do
And
they
also
know who you are when you're coming? Do they know this is Mark from head office?
Sometimes they do, but sometimes they actually get quite worried if they think that someone from head office is going out. So I'll just say, hi, Mark. I'm just here to look
Just blend in.
Yeah, blend in. So, but on the flip side of that too, we also get to interact with all of our companions, the people that we're working with. You can have a really bad day, but go to Awesome House and talk to our companions, and it just puts everything back into perspective around what we do, and and who we do it for. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it sounds so different from other conversations I have with other facility managers who they're managing the facility for a company or on behalf of, like through a management firm. You sound like you live and breathe the mission of St Vincent de Paul. Like you know all these stats, like how many volunteers there are, and what's happening over in this house, and like how has that made you feel? Like being able to work in a place where that you can understand all of that and be a part of that.
I think that's the best part about the organisation, because we all work as a team. I understand those stats because our CEO will impart that knowledge. I understand those stats because my exec imparts that knowledge. And so, the teams I work with, finance and marketing and all the people behind the scenes, IT, we all work together and we're part of those stats.
Yeah, you are.
So we're part of those stats and so it's a very culturally based organisation. I think that's where the culture part really comes into play. And, it touches us in everything that we do.
Yeah. Do you think that facility managers who are part of maybe less mission based, they're part of businesses that they have a different direction. It's not for serving as a not-for-profit.
Yeah.
Do you think it would make their jobs easier if they actually saw themselves as part of the mission?
I think to take your point, not so much the mission, but purpose.
The purpose of the business.
Purpose of the business and purpose of what they're doing. And I think when I reflect back on other roles, and I spoke about sort of, the rebirth of sort of, enjoying facilities management, I really found the purpose of being a facilities manager in the organisation. So if you can find that purpose, whether it's a corporate organisation, then that's your why.
Yeah. And every facility manager, they do have a part to play in every business, because without them, the lights might not turn on, or the temperature is going to be too cold, too hot. There's so much that a facility manager does in every organisation and business for them to know, okay, without me, ABC doesn't happen. Without me, maybe they wouldn't hit their target of 6.5 million revenue this year or whatever it is. Every facility manager plays a pivotal role in making sure that the space is safe, comfortable, open, warm, working for every person who comes into the office or the venue.
The building. Yeah,
I mean, when we talk about sort of, that tangible, work that we do, it can be the same in a corporate environment. As soon as someone enters your asset, enters your building, you're responsible for their safety. You're responsible for how comfortable they are in their environment. You're responsible for how their day is going to be. And they can't be the best they can be in an adequate environment. So, I think it's no different to a corporate to what we do. But I think we lose sight of that as facilities managers over the years.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it's probably almost easier for the facility manager that works in the corporate space to be like, oh, I'm just making sure that the facility's working. But they tend to forget about, as you said, that you're providing the environment where XYZ person can perform their best, that this person can come in and do their job in a safe, comfortable manner that then gets the company to their
the beneficiaries of
Yeah.
the role that you're performing.
Yeah, absolutely.
their why is definitely still there. It's just maybe a little bit harder to see on a day-to-day basis because it's a little bit more of like a thankless job.
Especially when someone's complaining about the colour of the mug. The weight of the mugs.
The weight of the mugs.
It needs to have impact to them. So if they're extremely passionate about the building that they manage, then they're going to find that purpose, and everything they do is going to be purposeful for them.
Yeah.
For me, being a values-driven person, my values align with the mission of the organisation and the work that we do. And so it's not different. It's just a separate scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about maybe the common problems that you see in the space on a day-to-day basis. Like what's the commonality that you've come from lots of different facets of facility management? What's the commonality that goes across them all? Like there's a common issue.
The common issue. Look, I don't actually think there's a common issue in terms of things break down.
Yep.
Yeah, things break down. You look at sort of your asset cycle and things like that. We have a day might be that a customer has driven their car into our retail store. They've put their car into drive.
Really extreme.
So left
That
field.
happened a couple of weeks ago. Really? Yeah. So they've put their car into drive instead of reverse.
Yeah.
And so they've driven through the shop front of our window. It could be that we've had a particular incident at one of our centres involving a companion.
Yeah.
It could be that one of our systems has pipes have blown and
It's flooding.
It's flooding. So yeah, and that could happen all in the one day.
Yeah.
I always say be wary of a facilities manager who looks up in the ceiling.
It's something that you're never really able to know or anticipate what's going to happen.
No.
Right? Like there's as much as there's technology out there that can really put your finger on the pulse in so many different areas. Like if something's going to explode or something's going to stop working, it's going to stop working.
It's going to stop working.
And you need to be able to figure out now how do I get onto this as fast as possible.
Yeah.
How have you been able to respond quickly, and make sure that when there's so many different things pulling you in so many different directions, that each thing gets the attention it deserves?
I think that's probably based on the relationships that you form. Relationships with your contractors are extremely important to us. Suppliers, relationships with our staff. We trust our colleagues that look, I'm dealing with this scenario at the moment. I need your hand with this, or how do I fix this problem? But relationships are really key, and relationships are really key in management and also in facilities management. I find that FM is very relationship driven, and we rely on our contractors. It's nothing for me to call up one of our contractors and say, "I really need you." So. If you've formed great relationships with people, then they'll drop everything that they can and help wherever they can.
Yeah. One of our owners is constantly he's known that he'll pick up his phone when you call him.
Yeah.
Even if it's at 2:30 in the morning, 3 a.m. It's just his phone's always on loud. His wife, I'm sure, does not love it. But he's one of those people who's like, if one of my clients needs me, I'm there. So
I had a flood at my house, a personal scenario a couple of weeks ago, and I had to call one of my contractors. And they picked up the phone on the weekend. Do you need someone out there now? I'm like, no, I've got it under control, but I'd love for you to come out on Monday if you don't mind.
Lucky you knew what to do, right?
Yeah.
was your family sort of running around with their like, oh no, what are we going to do here?
It's quite interesting. My partner said, I've never seen you so calm in such an environment before. And I'm like, well, this is what I do for work.
You're now getting to see it live
Correct,
on the
right?
ground.
I don't just come home and, deal
I'm
with
not making up stories.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is what I do on a day-to-day basis. I think, if you want someone in an emergency situation, that's me, or probably any other facility manager, because we're used to dealing with that.
They're cool, calm, and collected. Or like the
Under
duck,
pressure,
I think.
yeah.
They look
Yeah.
like they're cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah,
They probably
on the inside they're scrambling.
Absolutely.
Oh, please, who am I calling next?
Yeah, it was just like, oh, okay, yep, this has happened. We just need to do this, this, and this.
Not me.
I feel like you'd be like the headless chicken running around. Get the buckets.
That's it.
Yeah.
You were telling me before you had a question for Mark.
Oh, yes. So we had Paul Saw on a few episodes ago. I'm not going to say how long because who knows when this comes out.
He's a great guy, Paul. A lot of time for Paul.
He said something that really interested me was around donor dollars.
Yeah.
Obviously in his role, similar to you guys, not-for-profit, donor dollars and how that is getting spent is so important. How much of that kind of weighs on how you attack your job and how you kind of do your job and especially your team as well?
Yeah, look, it's forefront for everything that we do, all the decisions that we make. We're a not-for-profit organisation, but we're also not a for-loss organisation as well.
Yeah.
And so we are well aware that every dollar saved goes towards the mission and goes towards the people that we assist. And so it's really important for us to actually ensure that we get value for money, and that our decisions that we make are informed decisions with clarity that produces an outcome that is cost effective, and that it goes across for all facility managers. But in our space, and as Paul would have alluded to, that is probably a little bit more important in the decision making process than for anything else.
Yeah. It would impact the way you procure, the way you interact with suppliers and contractors, because
Absolutely.
like you said, like whatever you don't spend here can now get spent on the beneficiaries of the programs and the services that you guys offer as an organisation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that is credit to my team is around the increased capabilities that they need to do so that we don't outsource that work. And outsourcing work is totally fine and required in some scenarios. But the that broad range of skill set that you were talking before around what we look for in a person can certainly be trained. And so we take that into account for the people that we have in our team. Are you adaptive enough to actually learn new skill sets that people will say, oh, it's not part of my job.
This isn't part of my remit. I can't.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just made a really good point. I always talk about how you can't train character, you can train skills. You can train anyone to do a task, but the things you're probably looking for more are you a cultural fit for my team, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that plays a big part in a small team, that cultural fit.
Yeah. You'd have people who have come from all walks of life. When they ask you, what's the culture like here, how do you answer that question?
That's a good question. So, but one that's probably easily said, the culture is, we're, as I said, we're adaptive.
Yeah.
We're one that is not precious around doing things that might be outside your remit. Transparency is very important. Yeah. When we're talking about those statistics before, we're very transparent in the organisation.
Yes.
And we share stories. We share a lot of stories about the work that we're doing because there's so much work in the organisation. It's a big breadth that, we can't be across everything. But by sharing those stories, you find that it actually then leads into mission moments, what we call, and so when we have a mission moment and someone experiences something that supports our mission, we share those stories. And I think it's really important because it then comes back to your purpose. So you're not working in silo.
Yeah.
You're actually all working for the same purpose. And when that's shared, you kind of feel part of it.
Yeah. Which is like belonging is so important. Like feeling like I belong, I'm a part of this team, I'm contributing something.
Yeah.
I think it's important in every walk of life and every team you're
Any
a part
high
of.
performing team will tell you that one of the characteristics of that is feeling like they matter, feeling like people belong.
Yeah.
And they've got a purpose, and everything that they share is going to be heard, that they've got a voice.
Yeah.
Now you also sit as the chair of the DEI committee for the FMA.
I do. I've sit on a few committees actually, but I'm extremely proud to chair the National Diversity and Inclusion Committee with the FMA, and another small team that does amazing work. Getting out there and supporting the industry.
Yeah.
And
What does it mean? Like, what does the committee do?
yeah.
Tell us a bit about that.
So the committee is there for an advocate for all areas of diversity and inclusion, and it's there to support that throughout the industry and be I guess a go-to spokes people for
What is best
those
practice and stuff?
Absolutely. Each organisation now generally has a diversity inclusion committee, which is fantastic because they do some great work. But we also have organisations that don't. And so, they're able to leverage off the skill set for the industry for diversity and inclusion. And so we've done some amazing work around, neurodiversity and accessibility and Indigenous and championing, women in our workforce. One of our major events is the International Women's Day across the country, and we had that held in Melbourne. I looked after the Melbourne event this year, and we had some amazing speakers talk about the cause and the theme each year.
Yeah, you're also on the events committee, aren't you?
How do you find time for all this?
Look, I think when you're passionate about something that you do, you'll always find the time. Yeah, I sit on the Vic committee and the national events and the membership and culture committee as well. Yeah.
So you must love what the FMA do.
I do actually, and I think one of the things that has invigorated myself in my FM career, not only working with St Vincent de Paul, but has been to actually get involved in the industry.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed my time, and I kind of fell into these committees, but I've really enjoyed my time with the FMA and meeting people and forming those relationships. Not only just with fellow colleagues in the FM industry, but suppliers and contractors and great walks of life. So, yeah.
Yeah,
It's such a common thread that we hear is that everyone that's a part of the FMA is such an advocate of just getting in it, coming to a couple of events. You'll meet other people in the role, you meet the suppliers, you start building those sort of relationships. So
you just get sharper.
Yeah, and you're constantly learning.
Yeah.
You're constantly learning different aspects of facilities management that may not even be directly involved in your role, but it's certainly interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In terms of coming back to facilities management and you've been, like we said at the start, in it a while, what are the sort of things that you've seen come that, like some trends that have come and gone, and what do you think is here to stay or coming up? What are you seeing coming on the horizon?
Look, I think there's definitely a lot of work in the AI space and then data-driven technology within the facilities management. There's a lot of efficiencies that can be found through that. So that's definitely a trend at the moment. I think also too the facilities management have really recognised that we are a people-based organisation, and so there's been a lot of work involved in assisting environments, assisting people to be in an ideal environment. And I think that's where the D&I lens comes in at times.
Yeah.
You know, appreciating the diverse aspect of people that we have an interaction with each and every day, and providing them with an environment that actually supports what they do. And we see that in the neurodiversity space as well, you know, redesigning buildings to accommodate, you know, neurodiversity. You know,
Make coming to work easy for people.
yeah, absolutely. And you know, post-COVID, when, you know, people are working remotely, you know, the technology that we see now, you know, there's no such thing as a sort of a 9 to 5, you know, office-based role anymore. So there's a lot of changes in that.
Yeah. When I hear of AI, I just think of people asking ChatGPT a question, right?
Please write
There's
this
so
email.
much more. Like, are there ways that you're looking at, "Ooh, AI might be able to help me at St Vincent de Paul in some way in this facility," or like, are there things that that have taken your attention and gone, "Oh, wow, that I didn't know that AI could do that"?
Yeah, look, I think that's probably one of the things that is definitely on the horizon for the property. So we've recently undertaken a restructure and centralise our property division. So we've done some amazing jobs, amazing work, I should say, in that property space. So you know, there's a lot of work that is to be done, and we will definitely see those efficiencies, but we haven't quite touched on that just
The
at this
AI,
point in
yeah.
time. Yeah.
Well, and I would think that belongs in the IT department. That's what my brain thinks. Like, that's too much for me to handle. I like what it can do for me, but
I don't want to have to jump into the weeds.
I don't
of
want to
it.
have to figure out.
Yeah.
So, and as a facility manager, you've just got to. We've touched on this before, but you've got to sort of be that
Got to go with the flow.
knowledge of as much as possible. You don't have to be an expert in everything, but you sort of have to.
You have to be a sponge almost.
You have to be able to do the IT problems. You have to
Yeah.
understand how cars work, because you're probably managing a fleet oftentimes. Like, there's so much involved.
Yeah, my team manage the fleet as well, and you know, that's another aspect of the job, is to making sure that people, you know, are using their vehicle in a safe manner to actually get to where they need to be. So you know, everything that we do, it sort of touches on that safety element.
Yeah, it's just, it boggles me how much facility teams have to carry and understand.
Yeah.
Like, it's just such a broad role.
Yeah. And I think it's got broader over the years. If I look at back my time in FM, you know, it's income sustainability and project management and facilities management and psychology and you know, so all of those areas. It's but I think that's probably why facility managers love doing what they do. Yeah. You know, if
It's
you
never
don't
boring.
Exactly right. If you don't like change, this is not the industry for you.
Pick something else.
Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to a facility manager listening, maybe they're new in their career, they're just starting out, what would it be?
I think it would probably be find a role that fits your purpose. Find a role that fits your purpose, because you're going to absolutely love what you do, and you'll be passionate about it, and it won't even feel like a job. And that might be an organisation that is aligned to your purpose. It could be a particular role within the facilities management industry. And I think probably the other advice I would say is get involved in your industry. The more you're involved, the more you actually get out of what you do, and the relationships that you form. As I said, I've increased my participation in the FM industry and the FMA over the years, and I think the more I do, the more I actually enjoy it. You know, I've spoken at some conferences, and that's totally taken me out of my comfort zone. What I'm used to, and push the boundary from a personal perspective.
Well, you didn't even want to come in there.
Correct.
You can't air him out like that.
Well, no, but it shows like you push yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing quality.
Yeah. It's I was quite nervous about joining you today.
But you've done so brilliantly. I think it's been such an interesting episode.
Yeah.
And I think people who are listening who do maybe lack that purpose or maybe are feeling a bit stale in their career can hear this and go, okay, well, Mark found a point where he flipped a switch and there was this reinvigorating or this re-excitement about the facility space again.
Yeah.
Maybe I still can get there. Maybe
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we all go through areas or times in our life where, you might feel a little bit stale or you might want to change.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to change a role in order to find that change.
No, that's right. Dye your hair.
Yeah.
Go and buy a car.
Yeah. Join the FMA. Yeah.
Change your name.
That's a huge one. Change your name. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks, guys.
It's
Mark,
been so good
amazing.
having you.
It's been really great to speak to you. Appreciate it.